Hey y'all, Jamie here. Proud 55-year-old trans woman from New Orleans. So, where last I left off? Well, my best friend Terry had been thrown down a flight of stairs on Bourbon Street above the club Big Daddy's. There are apartments. And it was a very steep old staircase up there, and yeah, he threw her. He pushed her. And she took a tumble, and we went shopping after that. She told me she thought she broke her toe. She had a headache. That was about it. So a week later, I hadn't been able to see her. I was busy with work. I was managing a strip club at 19, and I had my own apartment and stuff. My little sister Deanne had moved in with me. She was staying with me. Yeah, so when I saw Terry a week later, she was so sick she couldn't get out of the bed. She couldn't stand up. She couldn't walk. And I called an ambulance. And they took her to the hospital. And they turned around and said that she had a flu. And they prescribed her antibiotics and everything. And so we brought her home, right? And then Sean was there when I brought her home, her little boyfriend that had cheated on her that pushed her down the stairs. Yeah, I gave him a piece of my mind. Good for that one, right? So, yeah. I tell Sean, what the hell? Why didn't you take care of her? Sean is like, well, I tried, Jamie, and, I've tried to been making money and some bullshit excuses. She was too sick to really argue in the situation. So yeah, he promised me. I told him, look, I have to go to work. Like, I had no choice in the matter. I had to make a living. And so yeah, I said, listen, I have to go to work, so I need you to take care of this. And he promised me, and he said he just didn't have the money, right? So, I said, well, here. And I gave him like $150 the first time. And I said, get her to a doctor, and make sure that she stays on top of taking her antibiotics and all of that, right? And so he said, okay, I promise, Jamie, I promise. And so I had to go back to work at the French Casino. I'm not the French Casino. Listen to me. I had to go back to work at Fun Limited. And so a couple of days go by. And Sean tells me, he comes to me and he tells me, Jamie, the money you gave me just wasn't enough. The doctor, it's going to cost another $400. So I said, wow. I said, I tell you what, come by my job later tonight and I'll give it to you and take her first thing in the morning. Okay. So he came by my job that night. I gave him the $400 and, the next morning, I'm assuming, he took her to the doctor like he said he was going to, she had gone to the hospital. She had antibiotics, but she was still feeling really sick. So, a few more days go by. So this is now 2 weeks, right? And I go to check on her at her house. I haven't heard from him in a few days, and I haven't seen her because I've been busy working. So I go by her house. And she's deathly ill. Like, she's just vomiting and can't get out of the bed again. And, and I was like, what about your medicine? I said, Sean was going to get you this medicine that was like $400. And she said, girl, I haven't seen him in 3 days. I said, really? So I picked her up. Terry was a petite thing to begin with, but after 2 weeks of vomiting and not being able to eat, she was already like 120 pounds back then. And, for a transsexual, 120 pounds is very, very thin. So yeah, I picked her up and I carried her in my arms, bridal style, and I put her in a cab and I took her back to my apartment where Deanne was waiting for us. And I also brought her cat. She had a cat named Mickey, and I brought her cat with me. So I see Sean down in the corner, and I, grab him, and I snatch him to the side, and I'm like, the fuck? Why didn't you take her? Where are these meds that you told me were $400? And he's like, oh, Jamie, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, I was going to take her. And then he starts coming up with this other bullshit excuse, right? And I'm like, do you realize I had to carry her out of her apartment physically with my own two arms, put her in a cab, and take her to my own house because you have neglected this entire situation? And then he tried to kiss me. And if y'all want to know what happened next, y'all know the routine. Be here tomorrow, and I will too. I love you all. I love you all for watching, and I love you for the comments. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.